EURUSD has started its descent in towards the downside after grabbing buy-side liquidity above both daily highs, as we can see. So yesterday we saw a bearish candle close indicating that there is potential for a further downside push. However, is the momentum already there, and are the 4-hour and 15-minute also ready to flip? So looking here at the daily time frame real quick, we can very clearly see that we have an area of supply here on the left top of your screen. Now, if we just zoom in real quick and we look at the exact wick, what you can see is that the market actually just missed out on tapping in towards that daily area of supply, indicating that there is still potential for EURUSD to make a push up higher into that daily area of supply. Obviously, we have already grabbed buy-side liquidity. With buy-side liquidity, guys, I just mean grabbing liquidity above a swing high. In this example, both swing highs over here and over here, but obviously it's going to be higher probability if we also tap in towards that actual area of supply over here. Now, looking at if we can expect a pullback in towards the downside, we need to understand what the lower time frame is doing, because the lower time frame is going to tell us and explain to us if we're ready to drop. And if we look at the lower time frame, we can very clearly see that yesterday we indeed saw a change of character. So this low over here, which broke this high, got broken by this wick. Now, this often indicates that the market is then ready to push down lower. However, what you can see is that it's more a liquidity grab than a real push down. And an example of what you see when you get kind of like these weak changes of character is, for example, over here. It looks more like a liquidity grab. You just grab the liquidity and then you reverse. Obviously, here you, for example, have this area of supply, and you have also this area of supply, and you see an initial reaction, but there's no real follow through in towards the downside. So what I'm going to be waiting for to see confirmation if we're ready to start dropping in towards the downside is just something called a double chalk. So what I want to understand is that this area of supply is actually valid. Okay, so this area of supply which caused that change of character over here, I want that to be validated. How can it be validated? It can be validated by waiting for a low break of the low over here. And then, for example, what you could do is something like this, where we start shorting back down in towards lower levels. For example, the next areas of daily or 4-hour demand. So that's pretty much what I would be looking here at EURUSD. Obviously, euro dollar has some room to fall down lower, back down in towards the sub for the buy candle, and you can see pretty much nearly have that 1 to 3 risk to reward. So I would just hold it on and wait for that double break just to see if we can validate that 4-hour area of supply which we have over here, and just to ensure that you don't get stuck in a market that is just going to start pushing back in towards the upside again. So just keep that in mind, guys, because for now it just looks more a little bit like a liquidity grab. So we want to validate this supply, and this supply zone is validated if we start breaking the low over here. Now go into the 15-minute time frame, because the 15-minute time frame can also help us decide whether we want to go long or short. So obviously we're still bullish from this low in towards this high over here, and you can see that we never closed below this low. Okay, indicating to me that the swing structure is still bullish in towards the upside. So this is your impulse, and this everything is just a correction. Now, what is the case is that we have got a bearish internal structure. So we've got a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower low, a lower high over here, and now potentially a new lower high inside of this area of supply. So I am actually looking to see if the market is going to push down lower from that 4-hour area of supply which I just showed you, but also from this 15-minute area of supply as well. So we kind of have a range over here. And if we just turn on the Asian range indicator, we can very clearly see that we've now grabbed liquidity above the Asian range. So what I'm actually looking at is to see, can we now, for example, break this low and start killing it down with momentum? That could be a potential short. Maybe wait for a double break. And with a double break, I mean, okay, this is the initial break. Then, for example, we get a pullback in towards supply, but then only take a trade on the second low break, just to confirm that it's not just a double liquidity grab and we just move up higher again, okay? So it can just increase the odds of your overall trade. But for now, obviously, the highest probability zone is like this 15-minute area of supply. Here, the supply chain was obviously bearish yesterday. We followed it in towards the downside. This is now your high, which is protected. So let's see what the 15-minute does. If this high gets broken, then it is very likely that we are going to break through that 4-hour supply zone, which I just showed you, and we are going to push in towards that daily area of supply. That is that is then what I would expect, and that's why I would also look for longs if we break that 15-minute high. So moving onwards now into the dollar index, because the dollar index has also been moving very interestingly. If we look at the 4-hour time frame here, what you can see is that we pushed in towards an area of supply. So this is a supply zone which I highlighted yesterday. As we can see, we have actually respected the 4-hour high here, the 4-hour fractal high on the dollar index. So this was the fractal high, this was the fractal low. We push in towards supply. So supply is just actually holding. We're now pushing back down in towards this demand zone, but this demand zone, guys, this imbalance candle, whatever you want to call it, it did not achieve anything. It just pushed price in towards this overall supply zone. So it's far higher probability to wait for a break of this high and then look for those actual trades. That's why I'm also kind of waiting for euro dollar on the 4-hour to break that double low, because if it breaks that 4-hour low, remember guys, and with that 4-hour low, let me just show you real quick. So that 4-hour low is the low, remember, over here of this long big bearish candle, that low. Then we would also have a high break on the dollar index, indicating that the 4-hour like lower time frame structure is also bullish, okay? And then we have far higher probability to look for those longs, and we could trade it back up in towards, for example, this daily area of supply. Now going in towards AUDUSD, which is our next pair, what have we been seeing over there? So remember guys, AUDUSD was inside daily supply and we made a substantial pullback after an overextended move. Obviously it now makes sense for Aussie dollar to push back down in towards this area of demand over here, okay? So that was the overall game plan, which I explained yesterday. Now going towards the 4-hour time frame, what we can see over there and what we were waiting for yesterday was a 4-hour fractal shift. So we got that 4-hour fractal shift in towards the downside, and from then you can see the momentum was clearly in towards the lows. We then kind of stalled inside of this imbalance level over here, and we're now pulling back. So 4-hour fractal structure is now bearish, so I am looking for shorts on AUDUSD. This is currently the fractal low, this is the fractal high. As long as the high of this bullish candle is respected, we should continue down lower. At the moment, this is pretty much just your overall area of supply from where you want to be looking for a short. So now let's go into the 15 and identify any potential trade. So here on the 15-minute time frame, what you can very clearly see is that the 15-minute yesterday was bearish. So obviously we were pushing in towards the highs. We had a higher high, a higher high, a higher high, and then the market shifted bearish over here. So remember I explained yesterday that I was looking for a potential short from this supply zone. However, as you can see, we pushed just a little bit higher, grabbed liquidity above this liquidity high, which was actually just additional confirmation for a push in towards the downside. This is the swing high, this is the swing low, and at that point in time, I was actually already interested in looking for a short. And as you can see, what we then got was a break of the fractal low over here, and then another break over here. And this is actually where you wanted to go short on, pretty much on that double fractal break, and then you could have caught that entire move in towards the downside, towards creating and establishing a new lower low. So for today, what I'm waiting for is just another additional short here on AUDUSD inside of that 4-hour area of supply. Now just try and identify 15-minute supply. And as you can see, if we just zoom out a bit, at the moment, this is your 50-minute fractal high, or swing high, excuse me. This is your 50-minute swing low. We're now, for example, already inside of this supply zone. We don't have any liquidity, to be honest, in that move down. So what could happen is that we just liquidate the entire supply zone itself, and then, for example, start moving in towards the downside. So just wait for the internal structure to shift bearish. At the moment, we're just moving bullish in towards the highs. So what you kind of want to see is just a double break in towards the downside, something like this. And then you kind of like start shorting here in towards the downside once the internal structure is confirmed bearish. Now going in towards GBPUSD, what are we seeing there? On GBPUSD, we've just been pushing up higher. Remember, guys, yesterday I did explain that there was a 15-minute short to be taken here on the daily time frame, because the overall momentum is just extremely bullish. What I'm waiting for is just for this daily swing high to get taken out, and then maybe start looking for a pullback. So nothing really else to be watched on GBPUSD. No longs, no shorts. Just wait for that high to get taken out, and then we'll look for that potential short. NZDUSD and gold, last of all. So NZDUSD has actually also seen something very interesting yesterday. If you go in towards the 4-hour time frame, what you can very clearly see is that we got a 4-hour fractal shift. So actually yesterday on the 4-hour time frame, we saw a bearish change of character right over here, which indicates that there is potential for a move down. This is your supply zone as of now. So now you can look in the 15-minute time frame for that potential short. If you want a higher probability play, guys, then just wait for this low to go, and then there is still more than enough room to trade these 15-minute trends in towards the downside, okay? So if you just want that little bit more certainty, that is what I would advise looking for. So that is, pretty much NZDUSD. Last of all, gold. Gold has been pushing very aggressively in towards the lows yesterday after the news announcement came out. So what we can very clearly see is that we grab liquidity underneath this swing low. We're now pushing back in towards the highs. Gold for now is another short in towards this area of demand from this area of supply. As long as this fractal high holds, we should continue down lower from that supply zone. If we break above it, then look for upside continuation, okay? That is my game plan. Look at the daily real quick. You can very clearly see that the daily overall is fractal bullish. As you can see, this is your fractal low over here. This is your fractal high. We tapped in towards a sub for the buy with perfection. So it could already move up higher on the daily, but if you want the best 4-hour setup or the 15-minute setup, then just wait for 4-hour demand to get hit as well. Or if it doesn't pull back in towards 4-hour demand, then just wait for the 4-hour change of character, and then we'll go long over here. So that's the game plan. Have a great trading day, guys. Speak soon and enjoy your Friday. Thanks.